So why would AWS get into the ETL space? I mean, it's a messy, messy space, right? It's a fairly hard space for any of us to work on. And the fact is all of us are in the ETL space. If you own the data warehouse, you're in the ETL space, right? We also have lots of ETL partners. So this is just a handful of them that are on the Redshift partner page. And there's a lot of fantastic technology vendors up there. And if you're using them, it makes a ton of sense. You should use them. The problem is, despite all of the partners, despite all of the investment that people are doing inside the ETL space, despite the variety of choice that's available to you, 70% of ETL jobs are hand-coded with no use of ETL tools. And actually, our estimate is that it's over 90% of the cloud, well over. And so how does that make any sense, right? Why would anyone want to hand code? It's brittle, it's error-prone, it's laborious. It's really, I often describe ETL as commute time. It's the time you spend getting to work as opposed to the time you spend working, right? And so, why would you want a long commute? You wouldn't, right? And the fact is, after you're done, you're still not done because you need to maintain your code. The data formats change, the target schemas change, you add sources, the data volume grows. All of those things, additionally make it brittle and laborious, right? And I'm sure you all live in this world. But the fact is, code's flexible, code's powerful. You can unit test code, you can code review code, you can deploy along with other code. So as you make a change to your JSON file, you can make a change to your pipeline that moves it into Redshift or your data warehouse of choice. And your dev tools, right? I mean, for a large percentage of our customer community, they spend maybe 5–10% of their time on ETL. They're full stack developers. They spend a lot of time in their IDEs. But it's still a problem because ETL is the most time-consuming part of analytics. So particularly in the cloud, where we've done a lot to simplify the data warehouse, the BI tools, that's not necessarily where the value is generated, but it is where the time is spent getting things done, right? So that you get your data in. And because it's so laborious, you get dark data. You store a lot of data inside S3 or your sources of choice, but only a fraction of that data ever makes it into a system that makes it available for analysis, right? And so what we're doing is, it's the classic AWS story, undifferentiated heavy lifting, in this case for ETL. So what we do is we catalog your data sources, we identify your formats and data types, we handle errors and manage and scale resources. Those are the sorts of things lots of people, miss in, when they're coding the happy path, and just generate code and execute ETL jobs. Now, at that level, this sounds pretty generic, right? Next slide's also relatively generic, right? So what does Glue consist of? It's a data catalog, it's job authoring, and it's orchestration, job execution.